The stabilizers failed first, then the navigation system, and finally, as Tala's scout ship plummeted through the atmosphere of the forbidden planet, her courage abandoned her too. Mayday, Mayday. Scout Vessel Delta 9 requesting emergency extraction. She fought the controls as alarms blared. The only response, the crackle of static. The ship's hull glowed red-hot as Earth's atmosphere tore at it like hungry claws. In her 20 cycles as an elite Virillian scout, Tala had never felt fear like this. Earth, designation, extreme hazard planet, was infamous throughout the galaxy. Its high gravity, toxic oxygen levels, volatile weather patterns, and most terrifying of all, its dominant species, humans. Unpredictable apex predators who had somehow developed technology despite their primitive biological design. And she was about to crash land right in their territory. The impact came with a scream of tearing metal. Pain exploded across her body as the restraints snapped, throwing her against the control panel. Her atmospheric suit ripped across the chest. Immediately, Earth's oxygen began to burn her lungs. Her vision swam as the ship's emergency protocols activated, releasing the last reserves of breathable vapor. Breathe. Focus. Survive. Blood from her forehead, a deep indigo against her pale violet skin, dripped onto the emergency beacon. With trembling four-fingered hands, she activated it, knowing the signal would take days to reach Virillian space. The ship was half buried in mud, the exit hatch partially blocked by fallen trees. Tala managed to squeeze through the opening, immediately collapsing under Earth's crushing gravity. Rain poured from an angry sky, soaking through her torn suit. Each raindrop felt like a needle against her sensitive skin. She dragged herself a few meters before collapsing, every muscle screaming in protest. Consciousness faded in and out as night fell. The cold, so much more intense than she'd been warned, seeped into her bones. Without her atmospheric regulator, Earth's oxygen was slowly poisoning her system. I'm going to die here. Alone. On this primitive rock. A light cut through the darkness. Tala froze, instinct overriding pain. Something was approaching, something large. She tried to crawl back toward her ship, but her body wouldn't respond. The beam of light found her, illuminating her fallen form. A sound, a voice, deep and resonant, called out words she couldn't understand. Tala's universal translator had been damaged in the crash. Through blurry vision, she saw it, a human male, tall and broad-shouldered, approaching cautiously. His face was partially covered by facial hair, his body wrapped in layers of protective coverings against the cold. In one hand, he carried a light, in the other, something long and metallic that Tala recognized from briefings as a primitive weapon. This was how it would end, captured or killed by an Earth predator. Tala tried to reach for her defense weapon, but her arms felt like lead. The human knelt beside her, his expression unreadable in the dim light. He made sounds, questions, perhaps, but Tala could only respond with a weak hiss, her species' instinctive warning sound. He reached out slowly, and she braced for pain. Instead, his touch was gentle as he examined the wound on her head. His skin was shockingly warm against hers. He put down his weapon and light, then removed his outer covering, wrapping it around her trembling body. Was this some sort of pre-capture ritual? Was he claiming her as prey? The human pointed to himself. "Mason," he said, tapping his chest. Then he gestured to the storm, the woods, made a lifting motion with his arms, and pointed away into the darkness. Tala understood enough. He wanted to take her somewhere. When she didn't respond, he carefully slid his arms beneath her. The pressure against her injured rib sent a wave of pain through her body, but she was too weak to fight as he lifted her from the mud. The ease with which he carried her was terrifying, confirmation of the superior physical strength humans possessed on their high-gravity world. Her head rested against his chest, and through her fading consciousness, Tala heard something unexpected, a heartbeat. Strong, steady, so unlike the triple pulse rhythm of her own hearts. There was something oddly comforting about it. As he carried her through the rain, Tala realized she was completely at this human's mercy. According to all Virillian knowledge, that meant certain death, or worse, dissection and study. Yet something in the careful way he held her, shielding her from the rain with his own body, made her wonder if perhaps Virillian intelligence on humans was incomplete. The last thing Tala saw before darkness claimed her was a small structure ahead, warm light glowing from transparent openings. As consciousness faded, one desperate thought remained. If I survive this night, everything I thought I knew about humans, and perhaps myself, will change forever. Tala awoke to unfamiliar sensations, warmth, softness beneath her body, and most surprising, air that didn't burn her lungs with every breath. Her eyes fluttered open, immediately registering that she was inside a human dwelling. Panic surged through her until she noticed the crude apparatus attached to her face. A breathing mask, connected to a canister labeled helium-oxygen mix. Somehow, the human had created a breathable atmosphere for her. "You're awake." The deep voice came from across the room. Mason approached slowly, hands visible in what she recognized as a universal gesture of non-aggression. In daylight, she could see him clearly, tall with weathered skin, dark hair streaked with silver, and eyes the color of Earth's sky. He wore simple clothing and carried no visible weapons. Her translator sparked to life, damaged but functional. How am I breathing?" Her voice sounded strange through the mask. "I analyzed the atmosphere in your ship," Mason explained, kneeling to inspect the makeshift regulator. "Found traces of helium and lower oxygen levels. I'm a medic, was one, anyway. Military trained. Figured your species couldn't handle our oxygen concentration." Tala tried to sit up, gravity immediately pushing her back down. Mason carefully helped her, supporting her back. His touch sent an unexpected warmth through her skin. "The gravity," she managed. "It's crushing me." "Your muscle density will adapt, but it'll take time." He gestured to her bandaged ribs and limbs. 3 fractured ribs, deep lacerations, possible internal bruising. "You need rest." For 7 Earth days, Tala drifted between consciousness and sleep as her body fought against Earth's environment. Mason never left for long, adjusting her breathing apparatus, helping her drink nutrient solutions he'd formulated by analyzing samples from her ship's provisions. On the 8th day, Tala stayed awake long enough to study her surroundings. The cabin was simple but functional, built of wood and stone. Advanced technology was minimal, nothing like Virillian homes. Through windows, she could see mountains and forests stretching to the horizon. "Where are your cities?" "Your people," she asked as Mason changed her bandages. "I live alone. By choice." His hands were gentle despite their strength. "Nearest town is 50 miles south." "You're isolated from your hive?" "A punishment?" Mason's lips curved slightly. "Not a hive. And no, not punishment. Just, needed space from other humans for a while." The concept was foreign to Tala. Virillians were communal, always connected to the collective. "Your species confuses me." "Likewise," he replied, checking her vital signs with a primitive device. "Your circulation is improving. Think you might be able to try standing today?" The attempt was humiliating. Her legs buckled immediately under Earth's gravity. Mason caught her before she hit the floor, his arms encircling her waist. Their faces were suddenly inches apart, and Tala felt an unexpected flutter in her secondary heart. "I have you," he said quietly. Each day brought progress. Mason fashioned a portable breathing apparatus from parts in her ship and his own supplies. He helped her rebuild her strength with carefully designed exercises. When she grew frustrated at her weakness, he showed remarkable patience. "My people believe humans are savage predators," she admitted one evening as they sat by the fire. "Dangerous, unpredictable. Why are you helping me? Mason was silent for a long moment. Maybe because I know what it's like to be considered dangerous. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing a map of scars. I've seen enough war, enough death. When I found you, I just saw someone who needed help. As Tala's strength returned, so did her curiosity. She examined Mason's books, his tools, the plants he cultivated. Everything about Earth was simultaneously terrifying and fascinating. The constant variations in weather, the diversity of life forms, the unpredictable nature of the environment, all considered hallmarks of a death world, yet Mason navigated them with ease. 2 weeks after her crash, Tala took her first steps unassisted across the cabin. Mason watched from across the room, arms outstretched in case she fell. When she reached him, triumph surging through her body, she did something entirely unplanned. She took his hands in hers, feeling the strange warmth of his 5-fingered grip. "Thank you," she said, the words inadequate for what she felt. That night, as Mason slept in his chair, having given Tala his bed since her arrival, she studied his face in the moonlight. The breathing apparatus still hissed softly, delivering her custom air mixture, but for the first time since arriving on Earth, Tala didn't feel like she was drowning. She was learning to breathe in this new world. Learning that perhaps not everything her people believed about Earth, and its inhabitants, was true. And most dangerous of all, she was learning that the steady rhythm of a human heart could become a sound she looked forward to hearing. By the 3rd Earth month, Tala could walk the perimeter of Mason's property without her breathing apparatus for short periods. Her body was adapting, painfully, gradually, to Earth's demands. Her muscles had developed density, her lungs strengthened against the oxygen-rich air that once burned them. "You're healing faster than I expected," Mason remarked as they worked in his greenhouse. He was teaching her about Earth plants, which ones could be eaten, which had medicinal properties. "Virillians are adaptable by design," Tala replied, carefully transplanting seedlings. "We were engineered for space exploration. For conquest." The last words came out quieter than intended. Mason looked up. "Conquest?" Tala's hands stilled in the soil. "My mission wasn't just reconnaissance. I was scouting for extraction points. Resource locations." She couldn't meet his eyes. "Earth is classified as too dangerous for habitation, but valuable for its mineral wealth." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Mason spoke. "And now? Now I understand why my people's assessment was flawed. We saw only the physical dangers of Earth, not its complexity. Its beauty." She gestured to the mountains visible through the greenhouse glass. "We never considered what it meant that humans thrived here despite the conditions." Mason's expression softened. "Does your breathing feel steady enough for a short hike? There's something I want to show you." They climbed a ridge behind Mason's cabin, moving slowly to accommodate Tala's still adjusting body. The exertion left her breathless, but not from physiological strain alone. The vista that opened before them was unlike anything in Virillian space, a valley bursting with colors, a river winding through forests, birds soaring on thermal currents. "It's why I chose this place," Mason explained. "After 3 tours of combat duty, I needed this perspective." "You were a warrior," Tala observed. "As was I." He emphasized. "Now I just want to live quietly. Grow things instead of destroying them." Their hands brushed as they stood side by side. Neither pulled away. Back at the cabin, Tala showed Mason how to repair parts of her communication array. Her slender fingers moved deftly among the components, explaining Virillian technology. Mason was a quick study, asking intelligent questions that surprised her. "Your species believes humans are intellectually inferior," she noted. Mason laughed. "Probably are, compared to you. But we're stubborn learners." That night, as rain pounded against the cabin, Tala experienced her first Earth storm without fear. They sat before the fireplace, Mason showing her how to play a game called chess. The firelight cast a golden glow on his features as he explained strategy and movement. Tala found herself studying his face more than the game, the way his expression changed when he concentrated, the lines that appeared around his eyes when he smiled. "Check," she announced after capturing his bishop. Mason grinned. "Fast learner." "Good teacher," she countered. Their eyes met across the board, and something electric passed between them. Tala felt all three of her hearts accelerate. In that moment, Mason reached across the board, hesitated, then gently traced the markings on her forearm, natural pigmentation patterns that distinguished her family lineage. "These are beautiful," he said softly. "Like constellations." No one had ever described her warrior markings as beautiful before. Her response was interrupted by a sudden stabbing pain in her chest. Tala gasped, clutching at her primary heart. The oxygen regulator, she'd been without it too long. Mason reacted instantly, carrying her to the bed and fitting the breathing apparatus over her face. His hands moved with practiced precision, adjusting valves, checking her vital signs. For hours, he sat beside her, monitoring her condition, speaking soft reassurances when her consciousness surfaced through waves of pain. When dawn broke, Tala opened her eyes to find Mason still there, exhaustion evident in the shadows beneath his eyes. He'd stayed awake all night. "You didn't leave," she whispered. "Of course not." His voice was rough with fatigue. Tala reached for his hand, guiding it to her chest, where he could feel the distinctive triple beat of her hearts. In Virillian culture, this gesture is intimate. It means trust beyond measure. Mason's palm rested lightly against her skin, feeling the rhythm that was so different from his own. His eyes never left hers as he took her hand in turn and placed it against his chest, where his single human heart beat strong and steady. "Is this what trust means to your people?" she asked. "This is what more than trust means," he answered, leaning closer. Their first kiss was careful, exploratory, two beings learning the unfamiliar terrain of each other's bodies. His lips were warmer than hers, his skin rougher. Yet when his arms encircled her, drawing her gently against him, Tala felt something she had never experienced in the cold precision of Virillian life. She felt home. That night, as starlight filtered through the cabin windows, they discovered each other fully. Mason's touch was reverent as he traced the patterns that swirled across her violet skin. Tala memorized the topography of scars that mapped his human history. Their bodies moved together, finding rhythm despite their differences, an impossible harmony between worlds that were never meant to meet. Afterward, cradled against his chest, Tala listened to the counterpoint of their hearts, his singular strong beat against her triple pulse. A dissonance that somehow created perfect harmony. "My people would call this treason," she whispered into the darkness. Mason's arms tightened around her. "And mine might call it a miracle." As she drifted toward sleep, Tala realized with startling clarity that she no longer thought of Earth as a death world. In Mason's arms, against all probability, she had found life. The emergency beacon began pulsing at midnight. Tala bolted upright in bed, instantly alert. After 5 months on Earth, she'd almost forgotten the device existed, almost convinced herself rescue would never come. "What is it?" Mason asked, reaching for her in the darkness. "They've found me." Her voice was hollow. "A Virillian retrieval vessel has entered Earth's atmosphere." Mason sat up, switching on the lamp. In its glow, Tala could see the concern etched on his face. "How long?" "Hours, perhaps." She moved to the window, scanning the night sky. "I should have destroyed the beacon." "Why didn't you?" The question hung between them, charged with meaning. Tala turned to face him. "Because until you, I never imagined wanting to stay." At dawn, they hiked to a ridge overlooking her crash site. The scout ship remained half buried in mud, now overgrown with earth vegetation. Through binoculars, Mason spotted the first signs of the retrieval team, 3 Virillian soldiers in full atmospheric suits, methodically searching the area around the wreckage. "They're combat specialists," Tala whispered. "Elite trackers." Mason's jaw tightened. "Will they hurt you for staying?" "No." Tala lowered the binoculars. "But they will eliminate any Earth contaminants that might have influenced me." She looked directly at him. "They'll eliminate you, Mason." They retreated to the cabin, gathering essentials. Tala had taught Mason enough about Virillian technology to know they couldn't outrun the trackers for long. The retrieval team would have molecular scanners, atmospheric analysis tools. They would detect her unique biological signature. "We need to mask your presence," Mason said, unpacking his medical supplies. "If they can't detect you, they might assume you died in the crash." "They'll still search," Tala countered. "And when they find this place, find you, they'll know I survived." Mason's expression grew determined. "Then we make them think I never found you." They worked through the day, erasing all evidence of Tala's presence from the cabin. Mason extracted compounds from the soil near hot springs several miles away, minerals that would mask biological signatures when applied to skin. As darkness fell, they prepared their final deception. "The cave system beneath the ridge," Mason explained. "It extends for miles. The mineral content in the walls should block their scanners." Tala touched his face. "You've thought of everything." "Not everything." His voice was rough. "I haven't figured out how to let you go." The distant whine of Virillian hover technology cut through the night. They were out of time. "They're close," Tala whispered. "Mason, listen carefully. If they find you, tell them nothing. Act confused, primitive. They expect humans to be aggressive and irrational. It will confirm their biases. I won't let them take you." Tala pressed her forehead to his, a Virillian gesture of deepest connection. "And I won't let them harm you." They moved silently through the forest, Mason leading the way to the cave entrance hidden behind a waterfall. The mineral paste on Tala's skin was working. They'd passed near a scanner drone without triggering an alert. But as they approached the cave, a blinding light illuminated the clearing. "Halt, Scout Tala." The command came in Virillian, the familiar cadence strange after months of Earth languages. 3 figures in environmental suits emerged from the trees, weapons raised. "Your extraction has arrived." Mason stepped in front of Tala, shielding her with his body. The lead Virillian soldier gestured with his weapon. "Move aside, Earth creature." "He doesn't understand you," Tala said quickly in Virillian. "He's harmless. A primitive who found my crash site." The commander addressed her directly. "You've violated protocol by engaging with the native species. Step away from the human. Retrieval protocol requires elimination of contaminated subjects." "No." Tala moved beside Mason, dropping the pretense. "This human saved my life when you were light years away. He created breathing apparatus, helped me adapt to Earth's gravity. He is not primitive, he is brilliant, compassionate, and mine to protect." The soldiers exchanged glances, clearly unsettled by her defense. "You've been compromised by prolonged exposure," the commander stated flatly. "Report indicates you've been on planet for 5 cycles without proper atmospheric protection. Cognitive impairment is likely." "My mind is clearer than it's ever been," Tala countered. "Everything we thought we knew about Earth is wrong. Humans aren't the savages we believed them to be." Mason, unable to understand the exchange but sensing its importance, kept his eyes on the weapons aimed at them. Slowly, deliberately, he reached for Tala's hand, interlacing his fingers with hers. The gesture didn't go unnoticed. The commander's posture stiffened. "You formed a pair bond with this creature? This is beyond contamination, this is perversion of evolutionary law." In one fluid motion, he raised his weapon and aimed at Mason's heart. What happened next occurred so quickly that later, Tala could barely reconstruct the sequence. Her military training activated on instinct, she lunged forward, disarming the commander with a precision strike that sent his weapon spiraling into the undergrowth. The other soldiers moved to engage, but Tala was faster, her body strengthened by months in Earth's gravity. When it ended, all 3 retrieval soldiers lay unconscious at her feet. Mason stared at her, stunned by the lethal efficiency he'd never witnessed in her before. "You just attacked your own people," he said quietly. "For me." Tala looked down at the soldiers, then back to Mason. "They're not my people anymore." She grabbed his hand. "Their ship will have sent an automated distress signal. We have hours at most before reinforcements arrive." As they ran toward the cave system, Tala felt something strange in her chest, not pain, but a shifting, as if the pieces of herself were realigning. She had been created to be a weapon for Virillian expansion, designed for conquest. Instead, she had been conquered, not by Earth's harsh conditions, but by the most unexpected force in the universe, a human heart beating in time with her own. Deep within the cave system, Mason and Tala found temporary sanctuary. The mineral-rich walls provided natural shielding against Virillian scanners, buying them precious time. By firelight, they considered their dwindling options. "The second retrieval ship will bring more soldiers," Tala explained, checking the charge on the weapon she'd taken from the commander. "And they'll bring neurological recalibration equipment to correct my supposed contamination." Mason's face was grim in the flickering light. "They want to erase your feelings for me. They want to erase everything that makes me who I've become." Tala set the weapon aside. In Virillian society, individual evolution is permitted only within prescribed parameters. "What's happened to me here, how I've changed, it frightens them." "What if we ran?" Mason suggested. "There are remote places on Earth they might never find us." Tala shook her head. "They would find us eventually. And they would bring more ships, more soldiers. They might even accelerate resource extraction plans, deeming Earth too dangerous to approach gradually." She met his eyes. "I can't let that happen to your world." "Our world," Mason corrected softly. As night deepened, they moved through the cave system, eventually emerging on the opposite side of the mountain. From this vantage point, they could see lights in the valley. The Virillian retrieval team had set up a base camp near Tala's crashed scout ship. And in the sky above, a new light appeared, larger, brighter than any star. "The second ship," Tala whispered. "They're early." They retreated to Mason's cabin under cover of darkness. If these were to be their final hours together, they wanted to spend them in the place where they had found each other. As dawn approached, they lay together, Tala's head resting on Mason's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. "I never told you," Mason said, stroking her hair, "why I really left military service." Tala looked up at him. "I was part of a first contact simulation team," he explained. "Preparing protocols for potential extraterrestrial encounters. I argued for peaceful approaches, cultural exchange. My superiors wanted weapons platforms, defensive strategies. When I wouldn't back down, they discharged me." His laugh was bitter. "They called me naive." "You weren't naive," Tala said. "You were right." As sunlight crept through the cabin windows, a realization dawned on Tala. She sat up suddenly. "Mason, what if there's a third option? Neither running nor surrendering?" She outlined her plan quickly. It was dangerous, audacious, and completely unexpected by Virillian standards. Mason listened, his expression shifting from doubt to determination as she spoke. "It could work," he agreed finally. "But Tala, if it fails?" She silenced him with a kiss. "Then we fail together." They gathered what they needed, Mason's medical supplies, components from Tala's ship, his military credentials. As they worked, Tala felt a strange calmness descend. For the first time since crashing on Earth, she was acting with complete certainty. The Virillian command ship landed at midday in a clearing 2 miles from the cabin. Even from a distance, its imposing size dwarfed the retrieval team's vessel. Tala recognized the insignia. This wasn't just any command ship, it belonged to Overseer Verex, her former superior. "Perfect," she murmured. "He's arrogant enough to come himself." They approached openly, making no attempt to hide. Mason carried a white flag, a universal symbol recognized even by Virillians. Tala walked tall beside him, no longer using the breathing apparatus, her body fully adapted to Earth's gravity and atmosphere through months of gradual exposure. The Virillian soldiers formed a perimeter around them as they approached. Overseer Verex emerged from the ship, his environmental suit more elaborate than the others, denoting his rank. "Scout Tala," his voice boomed through external speakers. "You have violated multiple protocols and attacked retrieval personnel. Surrender for immediate extraction and neurological recalibration." Tala stepped forward. "I request formal diplomatic audience." The request, ancient and seldom invoked, caused visible confusion among the soldiers. By Virillian law, even a disgraced scout could request such an audience, and it could not be refused without violating the foundational codes of their civilization. Verex gestured them forward. Inside the ship, in a decontamination chamber that allowed Verex to remove his helmet while keeping Mason and Tala contained, the negotiation began. "I offer terms," Tala announced formally. "Earth will be reclassified as a protected planet, exempt from resource extraction." Verex laughed. "You are in no position to offer terms." "I am in precisely such a position," Tala countered, "because I have what you lack, understanding of humanity." She gestured to Mason. "This human is not a primitive specimen. He is a trained military diplomat with access to his government's first contact protocols." Mason stepped forward, every inch the soldier he once was. "My people are aware of extraterrestrial presence," he stated carefully. "We have been monitoring your activities. We choose peace, but we are prepared for alternatives." It was a calculated bluff, Earth government suspected but had no confirmed evidence of alien visitation. But Mason's conviction made it believable. Tala continued. "Humans have adapted to survive on what you call a death world. Consider what that means for their potential as adversaries. You expect me to believe humans are a threat to Virillian technology?" Verex scoffed. "I expect you to recognize an unnecessary risk," Tala replied. "And an opportunity." She laid out her proposal. She would serve as an ambassador between worlds, sharing carefully selected Virillian knowledge with Earth in exchange for certain rare minerals found more accessibly elsewhere in the solar system. Controlled cultural exchange instead of exploitation. "And if I refuse?" Verex challenged. Mason revealed their leverage, a data crystal containing complete anatomical and technological information about Virillians, ready to be transmitted to Earth authorities should anything happen to them. For long moments, Verex was silent, calculating. Finally, he spoke. "The High Council may consider your proposal. But you, Tala, you can never return to Virillian space. Your physiological adaptations to Earth make you a biological anomaly. A contamination risk." "I am aware," Tala said, feeling Mason's hand slip into hers. "Earth is my home now." As negotiations continued into the night, technical details hammered out between the skeptical overseer and the unlikely pair before him, Tala felt the weight of 2 worlds balanced in her hands. She had arrived on Earth expecting to die on a hostile planet. Instead, she had found a reason to live between worlds. 3 days later, as the Virillian ships departed Earth's atmosphere with samples of Mason's DNA and preliminary diplomatic protocols, Tala stood beside him on the ridge overlooking the valley. Her crashed scout ship remained, now officially designated as an embassy outpost, the first of its kind. "Do you think they'll honor the agreement?" Mason asked, his arm around her waist. "Virillians always calculate risk against benefit," Tala replied. "We've made peace more beneficial than conquest. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors no Virillian world could match. Mason turned to her, taking both her hands in his. "When I found you half buried in mud that night, I never imagined." He trailed off, words insufficient. Tala smiled, placing his hand over her hearts, all three now beating in a rhythm adapted to Earth's demands. In Virillian culture, there's a concept called evolution of purpose. It means finding your true function, even if it differs from your created one. She looked up at the darkening sky, then back to Mason's face. "I was made to conquer worlds. Instead, I found one to love." As night fell over the mountains, they walked hand in hand back to the cabin that had become their home. Behind them, stars appeared one by one, no longer distant worlds to be conquered, but simply lights in the darkness, bearing witness to what was once impossible, love flourishing on a death world. Tala took a deep breath of Earth's air, once poison, now life, and for the first time since her ship fell from the sky, felt perfectly, completely where she belonged. Between two hearts, between two worlds.